Welcome, everyone, to episode 4 of The Rec Room. We're in Anaheim today. First chance I can get this done this week. It's been a busy week. I just want to start by saying what a crazy week it was in the Triangle. You had Raleigh at NC State at, I believe it's called the Lenovo Center now, hosting the first round and second round of the NCAA tournament. That's where Duke was in the NCAA tournament. Then you had NC State, Carolina, and Duke all hosting the women's tournament as well. So pretty crazy week there. So kind of hoops heaven in the Triangle with all three of those teams hosting. And then it turns out that Duke and Carolina goes chalk, and they will meet in the third round. Got me thinking, like, oh, that would never happen in the men's tournament. It's kind of a poor planning. In the women's bracket, that would never happen in the men's bracket. They would never have, like, let's say, Tennessee and Kentucky meet in the third round. That was my thought. And then I look at the bracket and I look at the schedule, and lo and behold, Tennessee and Kentucky are meeting in the third round of the NCAA tournament in Indianapolis. And so that got me thinking, like, how did this happen? And the reason is they had 14 SEC teams in the NCAA tournament. My thought is, if you just leave those last two, if you just leave Oklahoma and Texas out of the tournament, then you don't have to schedule around and try to avoid those SEC matchups in the second round as much if you just leave those two 6 and 12 in the SEC conference teams out of the NCAA tournament. Simple as that. Because then you don't have to avoid like those 12-5, 11-6 in those second round matchups. Like, it could be like a 10-2 matchup or an 11. Let's see, that'd be 11 plays the 6 in the first round, and then so it'd be an 11-3 matchup in the second round if the 11 were to pull the upset. And so you don't have to worry about that in the second round. If you just leave, again, Oklahoma and Texas out, you can kind of spread it out as well. Another thought. So anyway, Duke and Carolina on the women's side playing in the third round. Kind of stinks that one of them's going to be going. But it's also part of how strong the ACC is in women's basketball with Duke, Carolina, Notre Dame, NC State. Louisville had a strong regular season, even though they've already been bounced. Florida State as well, even though they got ran out of the building as well. But again, strong ACC in women's basketball, so you had to spread the talent or spread the teams around as well in the bracket. And then you also had, again, NC State, Duke, and Carolina also good enough to host the first round. So you had to spread, and they also kind of do a little more geographically based in the women's tournament as well. I don't like the way they do it on the women's side with the 2 super regionals. I was just reading about that. I think they go back to the 4, especially the way they do it with just 2 host sites in kind of mid-sized cities. They need to go back to just the 4 regional sites as well. It just doesn't – I know we try to tinker with stuff, and it just doesn't make sense. I'll get more on that later with, like, trying to expand the NCAA tournament and why we try to ruin things that are pretty good to begin with. But anyway, but yeah, Triangle, pretty cool hoops weekend this past weekend with, again, Lenovo Center hosting the men's side, Duke taking control of that and advancing on the east side. And then I think it was Florida as well, another 1 seed was playing in Raleigh, and they advanced, and they'll be playing in San Francisco in the West Regional against Maryland. As far as Duke goes in the next round, we meet the boogeyman again, and Caleb Love. I've never seen this before where you have to meet this guy even after he leaves the school that you always have to deal with. This will be the 4th time I think we played him after he left Carolina. I know we played him, so he beat Duke as a member of Arizona at Duke. Then we played him earlier this year. And then I think we played him one other time, and then we'll be playing him again this Thursday to try to beat him in the tournament, hopefully once and for all. But that is not a fun matchup for Duke to have to play Caleb Love once again to try to extend Duke's season. But it's been a fun tournament. We'll see what happens on Thursday. I won't be able to watch the game live, so that'll be fun. I have to wait till I get home. I'll be working Dodgers opening day, so I'll wait till I get home to watch that one. On to use of the word resiliency. It's been a bugaboo for a while. I don't know how it happened. I feel like it's only happened in the last few years and actually kudos to Stan Van Gundy for using the word resilience instead of resiliency. And then thumbs down to a certain sideline reporter who used the word resiliency in the question instead of the word resilience. And I never thought that would be switched. I would think if there was one person who would use it wrong, I think Stan Van Gundy would be the person who would say resiliency. And then the other person, again, I don't want to call anybody negatively, would say it the wrong way. Again, I say a lot of words. I'm sure I say a lot of things wrong, but that's just one that kind of gets under my skin. And hesitancy and hesitance as well is another one that just all the time. It'd be like saying, "Oh no, that person has a lot of humbleness," as opposed to saying, "Yeah, they have a lot of humility," or they're humble. I don't know how it got conflated to be said that way. Let's see. And then I was watching SportsCenter last week, and again, I'm not going to name the anchors, but the conversation was about brackets, and one of the anchors, she called out the other anchor for not. She asked if he's going to make a bracket. He said no, and she said, "Do you ever make a bracket?" And he said no. I'm like, I kind of lose a little respect for you as a sports guy if you don't make a bracket. Like, it's not that hard. It's 5 minutes. Just make a bracket. It's not you don't have to like be in an office pool or anything. Just kind of make a bracket, see what happens. Nobody knows what they're doing when it comes to a bracket anyway. Experts get it wrong, new people get it right. Whatever. Just make a bracket. But again, it just kind of loses a little respect for you. And then conversation turned to I think somehow it got turned to. He asked if she had a live, laugh, love sign in her house. And she said, "What kind of person do you think I am?" And I was like, man, these people they're kind of living in their own bubble up there. There's nothing wrong with having a live, laugh, love sign in your house. It'd be one thing if she was like, "Do you even know me?" But that's not what she said. She said, "What kind of person do you think I am?" As if there's something intrinsically wrong with having a live, laugh, love sign in your house. There's nothing wrong with it. But this is just kind of where we are. Anyway, Dominguez Hills Toros, both teams in the Final Four. The women handle business in their Elite Eight game. They won pretty handily. We're well up going at halftime and then closed it out with ease in the second half. Let's see if I can pull up their bracket. They beat Coker 82-66 in the Elite Eight. They will play Union. That game is today in just about 15 minutes. That game will be on ESPN+, so check that out. They're a fun team to watch. Asia Jordan, Nala Williams, Christina Jones. They play a very havoc, mayhem-style full-court press, a lot of turnovers. Again, that game is on ESPN+ at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. So check that out. The men came back. They were down at the half against West Liberty yesterday. They came back to win by 2, 86-84. They are the 7th seed on the men's side in Division II in the Elite Eight. They came back to beat the 2 seed West Liberty yesterday. And they play tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern time against Dallas Baptist in the Final Four. So both Dominguez Hills men and women in the Final Four playing for a chance to go to the championship game. On the other side of the bracket, Nova Southeastern, who's almost always in the Final Four and a lot of times playing for a chance. And a lot of times playing in the championship game. They're playing Washburn, the 4 seed, to get into the championship game on the men's side. On the women's side, on the other side of the bracket is Grand Valley State versus Pittsburgh State, the 1 versus the 4 on the other side of the women's bracket. Cal State Dominguez Hills is playing Union, which is in Tennessee, tomorrow at 3. So we'll see how that goes. But horns up, go Toros in that one. And we will see how it goes. But rooting for them all the way in that one. I had a few more things I want to complain about, but I think I'll save that for next time. We kind of run short on time. We got a few things I got to do here in Anaheim. But yeah, I had a few more complaints about the bracket and just a lot of the powers that be kind of taking things down a path that I hope does not end up ruining the tournament. We heard a lot about the portal and how it opened up, the Monday after the first and second rounds over. Of course, that's ridiculous. 750 plus players already in it. I think we've already had one player that's on a team that's still one of the Pippins, whoever the Michigan player is, he's already left the team, even though Michigan is still in the tournament. So that's pretty crazy. You have an active tournament team who has left his team to go into the transfer portal. You heard Izzo sound off about that as well. Going back to the bracket, the other thing, there's got to be a way. I think at this point, it's got to be better to just put the 68 teams into AI and just let them seed it out, right? Like you can rank them 1 through 68 and put the parameters into AI and just say, hey, the 1 seed needs to be closer. Like the way it's working out now, they talk about it on Scott Van Pelt and between Scott Van Pelt and Stanford Steve. Houston is traveling over 1,000 miles and they're playing Purdue in Indianapolis. Purdue is in Indiana. They're traveling 70 miles as the 4 seed. So the committee said, okay, if this thing goes chalk, if all the favorites win, we're going to have the 1 seed play the 4 seed in the 3rd round, with the 4 seed basically being the host team. That's crazy. And this happened 2 years ago on the women's side when NC State, as the 1 seed, played the regional final in Hartford, Connecticut, where against the 2 seed Connecticut. So the committee said, if this thing goes chalk, we're going to have NC State, the 1 seed, play basically a road game against UConn, the 2 seed. That doesn't make any sense at all for the 1 seed who's supposed to have earned the 1 seed and have the advantage. But again, NC State lost that game in 2 overtimes and an absolutely crazy game. NC State came back to tie it up in regulation. I think UConn came back to tie it up in the first overtime, and then they ended up winning in 2 overtimes in that one. But again, it's just it's got to be a better way to see the tournament than I don't know if they just get tired and get lazy and whatever, but put the teams rank them 1 through 68, put the parameters in of, okay, you don't want conference matchups in the first or second round, and you don't want higher seeded teams playing lower seeded teams further away from their university in the 3rd and 4th round, period. Like it shouldn't be that difficult to do, and just let AI do it from there. And then if you have anybody to blame, just be like, well, that's what the computer said. It happens on the men's and women's side. I used to think it was just laziness and they didn't care as much on the women's side as they did about the men. But again, they screwed up on the Kentucky-Tennessee side. Part of it's because the 14 SEC teams, and they screwed up having Duke and Carolina play in the 3rd round, which again, I don't think would ever happen on the men's side. But again, Kentucky and Tennessee are playing in the 3rd round, so who knows? But again, use the resources you have. You don't have to do all this by hand as if we're in the Stone Age, chiseling it out on a rock. Rank them, put them in, and let the computers do the work for you as far as how to seed it and make sure, the number beside your name doesn't matter if you don't have the advantage. So Houston, I'm sure, would rather be a 2 seed playing in Atlanta against even Auburn than playing Purdue in Indianapolis as the 1 seed against the 4 seed. Yeah. So That's my complaints against the bracket. It'll be a fun weekend of basketball. Baseball starting up. It's going to be an epic stream of time here. I remember a couple years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, March Madness ends, Masters ends, and then, as you know, NBA playoffs start, and then NHL playoffs start. So I'm watching an NBA playoff game, and Meg's like, my wife's like, I thought basketball was over. I was like, no, this is NBA playoffs. She's like, oh my gosh, still. So it's a great time of year for sports, going all the way through like the end of May and into June. A lot of important games coming up. But anyway, horns up for the Toros. Go Duke tomorrow, and go NC State, and go Duke women as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next week.